Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of About Abroad, where it's my job to introduce you to people who have built amazing lives for themselves in various foreign corners of the globe. We're talking with expats and thought leaders about moving abroad, remote work, visas, and all the fun and practical knowledge that you need to know to follow in their footsteps. If you've ever dreamed of making a life for yourself overseas, maybe working remotely or embracing long-term travel, retiring or studying abroad, or even just taking a peek inside life beyond your borders, you've landed in the right place. My guest today is my new friend Laura, who joins me from beautiful Barcelona in España, and we are going to go deep on the digital nomad visa that is now available in Spain for all you remote workers out there that want to go live and enjoy the beautiful life that is Spain. If you've been listening for a while, you know that I've been living there for many years and love Spain as a country, but they have changed dramatically over the last couple years with the explosion of digital nomad visas, and the ones that used to work for remote workers no longer do, and they have a specific visa for us. But it's been very ambiguous until now. There's been a lot of question marks about this visa, particularly in Spain, because it's such a popular destination, and also because the government has moved a little bit slowly on this. So we brought in Laura to go deep on this one, talk through all the details, and explain to you what you need to do if you want to get this visa, renew it, and eventually even move on to permanent residency. So a lot of ground covered on that front. We also get into a little bit of what we love about this beautiful country and all the diversity that it has to offer. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get to learn something as well. Please help me in welcoming Laura to About Abroad. Are you actually working out of the Barcelona? You guys have an office in Barcelona. Is that where you are?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm based here. I used to move through the different Lexidy offices, but I used to work in the Barcelona office.
Okay. Are you Catalan? Or is that where you're from? Yeah. Oh, okay.
All my life living in Barcelona. Born and raised here. Yeah.
Proud Catalan. I love this. You know, this is like one of the coolest things for me as a foreigner living in Spain. I think maybe especially coming from a place like the US, which is this like vast land where we all speak the same language, and there's differences, but they're not like so drastic sometimes, at least not to the naked eye. And then like you go to Spain, which by comparison in size is much smaller, but like from, you know, Madrid to Barcelona, you're talking totally different culture, different language, and you're like 2 hours away. Like it's just so cool.
And inside Catalonia, of course, you can find people speaking with another accent in Catalan, so I can not understanding like inside Catalonia in the small villages there. It's difficult to understand them, and then also you have Illes Balears that they have also their own language, and it's difficult to understand these accents, this Catalan accent. And yeah, inside Spain, there are different kind of languages, and well, Galicia, País Basque, it's all different.
I want to ask you a question. We'll pretend that my friends in Valencia aren't listening. Do you consider Valenciano another language, or is it just Catalan?
I would say it's another language but I consider it another language because I've met the Valencian people as well, and it's also different from Catalan, and I could say it as an official language for them. So congrats.
You have more friends in Valencia suddenly. Lots of virtual thumbs up. No, I think it's funny. So I got challenged on this a lot because I mean I don't know. I'm a foreigner, but I moved to Valencia almost 6 years ago, and you know I've been traveling around for a bit now. But like I spent a good bit of time there, and it's kind of where I learned to speak Spanish. And I didn't learn Valenciano, but I just always was told, oh yeah, it's one of the official languages of Spain. But when you Google this, it doesn't say that. Like online, it says it's like a dialect of Catalan or something. But in Valencia, they'll, like when you toggle a website or something, it'll be like, do you want to change it between Spanish, Catalan, or Valenciano? And it's an official language. So anyway, I find that like really, really fascinating. And there's like 6 or 7 in Spain?
Well, you have Gallego, you have Basco, you have Catalan, you have Spanish, of course, but these are the official ones. But then, of course, you have other languages that you can find in Spain, like Valenciano, as you said, and then the ones that you can find in the islands or in the Balearic Islands, Canary Islands, and it's super difficult to follow these people talking, and as well in the south, in Andalusia.
Yeah, Andalus. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's what you mentioned that you can travel within Spain, and you can find and you can find people that you don't understand, and it's and even if we everyone speaks Spanish, if you're talking your language, your own language, it's difficult to understand the other people. It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's what makes it so fun, though. That diversity. I mean, we're talking a lot about the language, but like the cultural diversity that you have from like the north of. I mean, people would think about like Spain and Catalonia as being maybe the epitome of that, but then you have like the difference between the north and the south, and like what you think of when you think of Andalusia, and like the island life, whether you're talking about the Balearics or the Canaries, like the very different cultures there. And then like, of course, I've said this on this podcast before, but like the natural beauty and the changes between like the beaches that you see versus the mountains and the olive fields and everything. It's so diverse in so many different ways.
Yeah, I think that you would. I don't know if you had the chance to visit.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of About Abroad, where it's my job to introduce you to people who have built amazing lives for themselves in various foreign corners of the globe. We're talking with expats and thought leaders about moving abroad, remote work, visas, and all the fun and practical knowledge that you need to know to follow in their footsteps. If you've ever dreamed of making a life for yourself overseas, maybe working remotely or embracing long-term travel, retiring or studying abroad, or even just taking a peek inside life beyond your borders, you've landed in the right place. My guest today is my new friend Laura, who joins me from beautiful Barcelona in España, and we are going to go deep on the digital nomad visa that is now available in Spain for all you remote workers out there that want to go live and enjoy the beautiful life that is Spain. If you've been listening for a while, you know that I've been living there for many years and love Spain as a country, but they have changed dramatically over the last couple years with the explosion of digital nomad visas, and the ones that used to work for remote workers no longer do, and they have a specific visa for us. But it's been very ambiguous until now. There's been a lot of question marks about this visa, particularly in Spain, because it's such a popular destination, and also because the government has moved a little bit slowly on this. So we brought in Laura to go deep on this one, talk through all the details, and explain to you what you need to do if you want to get this visa, renew it, and eventually even move on to permanent residency. So a lot of ground covered on that front. We also get into a little bit of what we love about this beautiful country and all the diversity that it has to offer. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get to learn something as well. Please help me in welcoming Laura to About Abroad. Are you actually working out of the Barcelona? You guys have an office in Barcelona. Is that where you are?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm based here. I used to move through the different Lexidy offices, but I used to work in the Barcelona office.
Okay. Are you Catalan? Or is that where you're from? Yeah. Oh, okay.
All my life living in Barcelona. Born and raised here. Yeah.
Proud Catalan. I love this. This is like one of the coolest things for me as a foreigner living in Spain. I think maybe especially coming from from a place like the US, which is this like vast land where we all speak the same language, and there's differences, but they're not like so drastic sometimes, at least not to the naked eye. And then like you go to Spain, which by comparison in size is much smaller, but like from, Madrid to Barcelona, you're talking totally different culture, different language, and you're like 2 hours away. Like it's just so cool.
And inside Catalonia, of course, you can find people speaking with another accent in Catalan, so I can not understanding like inside Catalonia in the small villages there. It's difficult to understand them, and then also you have Illes Balears that they have also their own language, and it's difficult to understand these accents, this Catalan accent. And inside Spain, there are different kind of languages, and Galicia, País Basque, it's all different.
I want to ask you a question. We'll pretend that my friends in Valencia aren't listening. Do you consider Valenciano another language, or is it just Catalan?
I would say it's another language but I consider it another language because I've met the Valencian people as well, and it's also different from Catalan, and I could say it as an official language for them. So congrats.
You have more friends in Valencia suddenly. Lots of virtual thumbs up. No, I think it's funny. So I got challenged on this a lot because I don't know. I'm a foreigner, but I moved to Valencia almost 6 years ago, and I've been traveling around for a bit now. But like I spent a good bit of time there, and it's kind of where I learned to speak Spanish. And I didn't learn Valenciano, but I just always was told, oh yeah, it's one of the official languages of Spain. But when you Google this, it doesn't say that. Like online, it says it's like a dialect of Catalan or something. But in Valencia, they'll like when you toggle a website or something, it'll be like, do you want to change it between Spanish, Catalan, or Valenciano? And it's an official language. So anyway, I find that like really, really fascinating. And there's like 6 or 7 in Spain?
Well, you have Gallego, you have Basco, you have Catalan, you have Spanish, of course, but these are the official ones. But then, of course, you have other languages that you can find in Spain, like Valenciano, as you said, and then the ones that you can find in the islands or in the Balearic Islands, Canary Islands, and it's super difficult to follow these people talking, and as well in the south, in Andalusia.
Yeah, Andalus. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's what you mentioned that you can travel within Spain, and you can find and you can find people that you don't understand, and it's even if we everyone speaks Spanish, if you're talking your language, your own language, it's difficult to understand the other people. It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's what makes it so fun though. That diversity. I mean, we're talking a lot about the language, but like the cultural diversity that you have from like the north of, people would think about like, Spain and Catalonia as being maybe the epitome of that. But then you have like the difference between the north and the south, and like what you think of when you think of Andalusia, and like the island life, whether you're talking about the Balearics or the Canaries, like the very different cultures there. And then like, of course, I've said this on this podcast before, but like the natural beauty and the changes between like the beaches that you see versus the mountains and the olive fields and everything. It's so diverse in so many different ways.
Yeah, I think that you would. I don't know if you had the chance to visit Spain, since you resided in Spain for some years, right? Here in Valencia. I don't know if you had the chance to move a lot in Spain, but yeah, you have the if you travel in Spain, you have the chance to visit a lot of different views. You have the chance to see a lot of different views from mountains, and in the north, in the Basque Country, which is super amazing. The cliffs that you can find there, and the beaches that you can find there, that are super different from the ones that you can find in the south, of course, and also the weather. And it's like if you were in different countries, but of course you're in the same country, and then suddenly maybe you're in the islands, in the beaches in Formentera, or in Balearic Islands, in Formentera, Menorca, Mallorca, and in Menorca, in the beaches that you can find there, or Formentera, the color of the sea, it's like if you were in Hawaii or in paradisiac beaches, and you are in Spain. So it's amazing. Maybe you don't have to spend a lot of money or to travel for a lot of hours to find yourself in paradise.
Yeah, I flew once from Valencia to the Balearic Islands to Mallorca for €9. And
this is the good thing,
this is it's like 40 minutes and I'm on this like island paradise, and I was like, for $10, that's pretty epic. And then like you say, like up in the north, it kind of reminds me of Ireland or the coastline of the UK or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and like the same. And because I was talking about Basque Country, and it came to my mind, the same views as Ireland, and these cliffs and these beaches in the north of Ireland as well. And yeah, of course, the sea is the water is freezing there, but it's a good place. People used to go there to practice surfing, because in other places in Spain it's not. There are no waves to make to practice surf, and they used to go in the north, and they're in Basque Country, it's super famous for this kind of sports, like in Portugal. But
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot to do. I could honestly spend like hours talking about it. I mean, it's become. It's funny. Like I didn't have intentions of living in Spain. I found Spain because of the non-lucrative visa that happened to apply to me, and I just really wanted to get to Europe, and I had spent some time in Spain traveling and done like a shorter stint of a few months in Spain before that, and loved it. But like, it wasn't like I was, there's a lot of countries in the world. There's a lot of beauty out there. And I thought, okay, well, I'm not like looking for one country. I just would like to go spend, some significant time in Europe. And oh, wow, my wife found this non-lucrative visa that happened to apply to us at the time, something we'll talk about because it wouldn't apply to me now. But I found Spain through that. And it's one of the reasons I'm like really passionate about these digital nomad visas and the changes coming through remote work and global mobility, because that opened up my world in such a huge way. Like I had the chance to learn a new language, to meet new friends, to explore this part of the world, and like live a way better, like a much higher quality of life, and learn a lot along the way than I would have otherwise. And so I feel really lucky that I found that at the time that I did, and the changes that provided me and the opportunities that provided me. But now there's been an explosion of these visas that are opening those doors up to a lot more people. And so that's why this is really exciting. I imagine it has to be very exciting for you. You work in this space. So it's got to be wild.
Yeah. And it's amazing. And I've been 5 years working in this world, in this immigration world. And it's been amazing seeing the evolution from this non-lucrative that was the residence permit that these digital nomads that are now applying for this new visa were applying for. And actually you applied for this non-lucrative residence permit, and well, you, if I'm not mistaken, you are now a long-term resident thanks to Lexidy. Now
Thanks
here
to Lexidy,
Spain. Yeah.
I have not just Spanish residency either. Like, this is the coolest thing that I think
EU,
people
right?
don't. Yeah, I got the EU residence. Like, you guys were able to get me the EU residency so I can live in other countries around Europe. And, although I love Spain, it's very cool to have I think a big part of this that gets missed is like having options is probably not just more available than ever, but also more necessary than ever. Like, having a backup plan is good. So anyway, I feel really, really lucky and very thankful for that. So yeah, I do have that.
Finally you end with all the procedures of the immigration renewals and everything. No, but you were right with the non-lucrative residence permit, which was the main residence permit that was applied for before. Was you could apply for it when you had the economic means and when you could credit that you were covered by health insurance in Spain, right? But for that you had to accredit, if you remember, that you were not going to work in Spain, okay? And at the beginning, you could work remotely from Spain, but the consulates, when they foresee that this new world of digital nomads was coming, also after COVID, that they saw that this new global mobility thing was was born and had this great impact now. Then the consulates, the requirement of the non-lucrative was like that you could not perform any work activity in Spain that required for you to be registered with the Spanish Social Security, right? So if you were working remotely as an employee for a foreign company, you would not need to register with the Social Security. But then the consulate, when they saw that this digital nomad was coming, this digital nomad visa, they were rejecting this non-lucrative residence permits for those who were on working age, because they were seeing this and they were saying, no, these people will need to apply for this digital nomad visa. I mean, we are giving them this non-lucrative residence permits. Then when this digital nomad visa arrives, we will have in Spain people with non-lucratives that should have a digital nomad visa, So it's like these non-lucratives residence permits have just stayed for this for the retirement people, for retirees. Sorry.
That was the kind of the original intent with the like it was originally, I mean, so you correct me if I'm wrong, but like my understanding has always been because it was very weird when you're applying for it early on. Like when I was, first applying for this, I was reading about it and I'm going, okay, this is weird. It does apply to me, but it doesn't. Like, depending on which page you're reading, it like doesn't work. So it's like you need to be able to sustain yourself financially and be healthy and covered by insurance and not be a criminal. So okay, I check all those boxes. Next page, but you can't work, and you're like, okay, the next page, because this is created for retirees who have a pension, and so when that world was the only way where that would happen, that visa fit. But now you have people working that are obviously of a younger age and are still actively working, and the government says, okay, well, it's the same, but it's not, and we need to change.
Yeah, it was like people on working age were like that wanted to relocate to Spain and that met the requirements of the non-lucrative residence permit were like in a limbo, while we did not have the digital nomad visa, right? And then at the end, like I know that Spain was a little bit slow with all the procedure and all the government procedure. Other countries like Greece, for example, was faster with that. But at the end, we finally got the digital nomad visa at the end of 2022, and this solved all these problems that we faced with a lot of clients that we had. a lot of them could apply for the non-lucrative residence permit before the digital nomad visa was issued, but a lot of them stuck in the doors because the consulates were saying that no, you're on working age, you cannot. Okay, you have a lot of savings, but you cannot tell me that you're not going to work because these savings will end at some point, you know. And this non-lucrative residence permit is for retirees. So, yeah, at the end we obtained. Well, we had the government regulating this digital nomad visa, and it was months of waiting for this new law. But we received it with open arms.
I'm sure it made your life easier. I know some people who got caught in that in-between stage where it was like, I'm doing the same thing that, for example, me, that I did, you know, like, and like, to be clear for people, like when I applied for the non-lucrative visa, I specifically, like the government was very clear on what you're doing. It's not like you're hiding the fact that you were working, or it wasn't the case then. Like I had to get a letter from my employer saying like, this person works for us. He has the company's based outside the US. He has a salary of this. Like it was like very clearly stated, like, this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to be working remotely from there. And the consulates were okay with it at the time. So like, this is just that things have changed since then. And I know some people that got trapped in that in-between stage where like 1 month they would have been eligible with the non-lucrative, and the next month, oh, sorry, you're supposed to be on the digital nomad visa, but sorry, by the way, the digital nomad visa isn't ready, so you're kind of stuck.
Exactly. That was our explanation to the clients. You know, it was like, yeah, we're still waiting for that, and they are rejecting these kind of applications for the applicants like you because of that, because we are still waiting for that, and it was our understanding that they were just waiting for the residence permit to be issued, because otherwise we would have people in Spain with different kinds of residence permits when they would need to have the same one, which would be the digital nomad visa, you know.
Well, let's dive into the digital nomad visa, I think, because for a majority of the audience, they're not retirees. If you're retired, then good for you. I wish you the best. You can come to Spain nice and easy. But for the rest of us who are working remotely or on some level, or just want to come spend some more time in Spain, let's talk about their options, starting with the digital nomad visa, and just, you know, I want to keep it fairly high level, because I tell people all the time, like, these things are so nuanced, and everybody's situation is very different, and there's always going to be a lot of yeah buts or it depends. But generally speaking, there's some bullet points with this visa that I think are interesting for people to know. So let's flush those out a little bit and see where it takes us.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to ask something in particular? You want me to explain the general requirements?
Let's go with the latter and just have you explain them, because you know, I'm not a good podcast host.
Yeah, sure. No, actually, the digital nomads, well, like the word says, they will need to create that the work that they are doing, it can be done remotely and with digital means like a laptop or something like that. And they will need to accredit that, or they work as freelancers for the clients that are based outside of Spain, and the clients need to be companies, not individuals, important. Or that they are going to work as employees of companies that are of their employers that are based outside of Spain, also companies. Okay, this is the first requirement that needs to be met. Then they need to accredit that this relationship with the clients or the employers has been enforced for at least 3 months, and that the client or the employer has had real activity for at least 1 year. These are like, because you need to accredit the relationship with the client if you're a freelancer, or with the employer if you're an employee. And then what you need to credit is that you are receiving a salary that will allow you to maintain yourself in Spain. And also, depending if you are applying with your family members, you will need to apply to accredit a higher salary. Of course, there's a minimum salary. And the minimum salary, if you are applying alone, it's at least 2,160 euros per month for one main applicant.
Okay. And for a family, roughly?
Yeah, it depends. For the first family member, it would be like 800 euros more. And then for other family members more, 250 euros more. So let's say that for a marriage, at least more or less 3,000 euros per month. And if we're talking about a family of 4, 3,500 euros per month.
And this is so this is salary. Salary.
What
if someone's like on, in English, in the US, we would say like on commission, like they're a salesperson. So they get, they could have, maybe they make 10,000 a month, but it's not a salary. It's like, it's variable.
Yeah. They need, like, according to our experience, if they get commission, it's advisable that the commission, like, what we need to create is that at least they are going to request the last 3 months invoices or pay slips, okay? And what we need to accredit, if it's not always the same salary, we need to accredit that at least there's a fixed, a minimum amount that meets the requirement. If it's a commission, because in my experience, I've presented applications with a commission, but accrediting that the minimum amount, monthly amount received, met the minimum required.
Got it. Okay. And also another question, I think the money seems pretty clear cut. That's like, generally speaking, I think something good for people to know is a lot of this is my experience. You correct me if I'm wrong, but it's black and white, but there's also some gray area where it's like there's a human on the other side looking at this information. And the point is they want to see that you can sustain yourself financially. So they're looking for averages. They're looking for, they don't want to see a red flag where you have a month where you made 1,000, like that could raise a red flag. But like, generally speaking, you want to try to meet these requirements on an average basis.
Exactly. You want to try to meet the requirement on an average basis. What we try to recommend, of course, is to try to meet the minimum amount every month. If it's not possible, to try to submit an amount of months of payslips or invoices to try to meet the minimum amount as an average. Of course, as you mentioned, here we have a person that is reviewing the case, and what we call here this is the criteria of the administration, the 3 criteria of the administration, and sometimes it goes against us, and it can be a little bit frustrating. But what we try to do always is drafting a letter explaining how does, of course, if the requirements are not met, we are honest with the client, and I'm sorry, you're not meeting the requirement, and we think that it will not be approved. But if we think that there's a change there, we can draft a letter explaining the situation. According to our experience, administration is very grateful with the letters explaining the cases, because they have a lot of documents maybe, and okay, here there's a letter, perfect. And then
summarizes
you explain
everything.
Yeah, you explain the documents and how you meet the requirements, and they are grateful with this. But of course, it's not black and white, as And also we can do consultations with the administration, and we have done a lot of consultation regarding these things. Mostly at the beginning of the year when the residence permit was new. And we got an answer once about the economic means, and they mentioned like it's okay if the applicant does not meet the requirement of the salary, but just for a few amount of money, they can also provide bank statements to like savings account. It's not the general rule, but we will study case by case.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I because in my case, actually I'm thinking back on this, like, so I had, I provided my salary statement and bank statements and things like that, but I also provided alongside it, this was the non-lucrative too. So, it may not translate to the digital nomad visa, but it's just to showcase like what they're looking at. So the requirement said I needed to have a monthly income of X, and I met that requirement. But then on top of that, I provided like savings account statements, even like credit card balances. Like I could access this $5,000 credit card if I needed to, just like here's all the money I could get access to before I would need to ask you for help, government. and like, that's what I was advised to do. And it worked. Like I went, past very easily. So, I just think it's important for people to know, if you've never gone through this process, you have no idea what it's like. And some governments operate some ways, some the others. But my finding with the Spanish government is like, generally speaking, they're not looking to exclude you. It's just you need to do what's asked. And then I would suggest going above and beyond where you can. Like drafting that letter is a great example, like you guys summarizing it. They don't ask for it, but you do it.
Yeah. So according to our experience, they are grateful with that, because it's like they receive a lot of files every day, and they are just like, okay, we are like facilitating their work, maybe,
you make their life easy. That's the point. It's like they're humans too. Like they're not really like looking to create more headaches for themselves. So it's much easier to put their stamp of approval and move it along.
Yeah, we always say here like that they may think like, oh, here is another Lexidy file. Let's see which story they tell us today.
We'll be right back to the show after a quick break for a note from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by my friends over at Lexidy. I've lived abroad in various countries, and one common denominator I've found is that dealing with foreign bureaucracy is a nightmare. Trying to navigate visa and immigration waters in another language is not something I'd recommend ever trying on your own, even for the most experienced of us. So when I recently had to renew my Spanish visa again, I turned it over to the pros at Lexidy. They've already helped more than 5,000 expats and digital nomads find a home and thrive in countries like Portugal, or in my case, Spain, also Italy, France, and Greece. Some very desirable locations indeed. So whether you're trying to obtain your first visa abroad, purchase a property, or work through international tax issues, Lexidy's team of friendly lawyers is here to simplify your journey. The team is super knowledgeable, bilingual, and thorough, and I seriously cannot recommend their services enough. My experience working with them has been incredible, and I can honestly say I don't know that I would have EU permanent residency if it wasn't for the help of the team at Lexidy. So if you're ready to make your move abroad, then Lexidy is offering an exclusive discount to About Abroad listeners. Grab 10% off your first service with the code AboutAbroad2023 and learn more over at Lexidy.com in the show notes and start your abroad journey today. If you've made it this far into the episode and you're still enjoying yourself, then I would love to ask a quick favor. Open up the app that you're using to listen to this podcast and leave a quick review. You can do this in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and really just about any platform that allows podcast listening now. If you can't find that in the interface of the app, then scroll down in the show notes and find ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, and you should be able to leave it from there. Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate it and hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Okay, so we touched on the remote work. We touched on the financial aspect. Are there any other major bullet points that people should be aware of?
Important thing, it's the health insurance. Also, because most of the public here is, I think, U.S. citizens and Canadian citizens, I think, we need to create also the health insurance coverage. And one important thing is at the beginning, the administration was not approving the digital nomads for those U.S. Or foreigners that were working as employees of U.S. companies, U.S.-based companies, because the U.S. was not issuing the certificate of coverage of the U.S. to those foreigners. Because as a digital nomad applying as an employee, when there is an agreement of social security between Spain and the country where the employer is based, we need to present a certificate of coverage of the social security of that country to cover the employment part of the social security. And then the applicant needs to hire private health insurance for the other part of the social security. And then the US was not issuing the certificate, and then the application for the digital nomad was denied. And this, I don't know if you have heard about this case, but a lot of US employees were denied and could not apply for this digital nomad visa. But recently we have been receiving approvals for these U.S. employees, and we don't know if we think that the administration has been changing the criteria, and they have been accepting the applications of U.S. Of digital nomads that are applying as an employee of a company based in the U.S. and in Canada as well. The same happened. So tell me.
I'm curious about this. This is really interesting. So, a large percentage of the audience is American. For those of you that are not, I hope it still applies, but it's gonna be a little bit American centric here during this part. So I think in the U.S. and in Europe in general, but let's just talk about Spain here, we think about Social Security very differently. In a way, like Social Security is a bigger part of your life in Spain than it is in the US. And we really separate, I was going to say seguros, insurance and Social Security from each other in the US. So like it's the normal situation would be my company that I work for, the only connection they have to my Social Security is that they take the money out of my paycheck every month and deposit it into this government fund that I'm going to see maybe when I'm 67, maybe not. We don't know if we're getting it. Then with my insurance, it could go one of two ways. Ideally, the company gives you your private coverage through like a group plan. That's the best way to get it. Or if you're like a freelancer or something, you have to buy it on your own. It's super expensive. It's expensive either way, but it's super expensive. So I say all of that is like, when you come to Europe and when you come to Spain, it feels that they're a bit more intertwined for the normal Spanish person. But as a foreigner and as someone on one of these visas, I am under the impression, and what I had to do was buy my own private health insurance and prove that I was still paying my Social Security back to the US. Does all that make sense still?
Yeah, it makes sense. But let me for the digital nomads, I will explain again the requirement of the Social Security, because as mentioned, I will start with the easy one because it's a little bit weird requirement, or not that easy to understand requirement, the Social Security part of the digital nomads. Because as we know, we have digital nomads applying as freelancers and digital nomads applying as employees, okay? And then we have countries where the clients or employers are based that has an agreement signed with Spain, bilateral agreement of Social Security, okay? Then if
can I make a clarification on that? Sorry to interrupt. When you say that is referring to the agreement that basically says, if I continue to pay my Social Security in my home country, I don't have to pay it while I'm temporarily here in Spain.
Exactly.
In this case,
exactly.
Correct? And that document would be, I would have no idea where to get that document. Like if I were to go to my employer in the US, I'm like, they would be like, what are you talking? That doesn't exist in the normal world as far as I know. So that's what I was getting at.
This is the problem. This has been okay. So this has been the problem of a lot of U.S. employees that wanted to come as with the digital nomad, because they were not able to get this certificate of coverage because U.S. authorities were not issuing this certificate for digital nomads because digital nomads did not have an address here in Spain, and they were only issuing this certificate for people who was transferred from a company in the US to a company in Spain, which is not the case of the digital nomads. But now it seems that if you can provide an address in Spain, even if it's your address of where you plan to reside or an address in Spain, they are issuing the certificate.
In the US, the US will issue that certificate.
The US authorities, or to the employee or to the company.
Do you know that? Do you know where you get, does a US employee get that from their employer or from the government? Do you know?
We have had different cases where or the employer has asked that to the government or the employee has asked that to the government. But we have a link that we have shared with some client and they have requested that directly. But we are not sure yet if this is the official criteria of the administration, because at the beginning they were saying no, we are not approving the applications for U.S. employees, digital nomads. That this does not mean for freelancers, which is what we always recommend. Just apply as a freelancer. Freelancers are the easiest ones, and is what we recommend.
Good to know.
Is what we recommend. Yeah, of course. But maybe the administration has changed the criteria when it comes to employees. We are still checking that and waiting to see if we receive more approvals. We have already received some approvals for US employees, but we need to check that. For freelancers, it's the safest way.
Okay. And why? Is that just because of the Social Security thing?
Yeah.
And if so, why?
Because for freelancers, well, in that case, the freelancers will need to register in Spain with Social Security as freelancers. But for the application, they only need to submit a letter committing to register with the Spanish Social Security. And we draft this letter and they only need to sign it. So no certificate of coverage, no private health insurance. They don't need to worry about all this.
Okay. This is fascinating. For me, at least, I'm a nerd for this kind of thing. So, is there a somewhat of a downside there, though, that the freelancer is then going to need to pay Spanish Social Security, which is significantly, as far as I understand, it's going to be significantly higher than what you pay in the US, for example. Is it, we don't have to go into the actual numbers, but it's correct to say they'll have to pay Spanish Social Security, correct?
If the Social Security that they will have to pay in Spain is higher than the one that they will have to pay in the US, the freelancers. Actually, I don't know because I don't know the...
Okay. Sorry. No. The question is, it's correct to say that if they're signing up for Spanish Social Security, then that bilateral agreement that says you don't have to pay so you're going to pay in one country or the other. It's just which one. And would it be correct to say that the freelancers are basically signing up to pay into the Spanish Social Security system?
Yeah. So if you are a freelancer and you don't want to register with the Spanish Social Security, you can also, and you have, and you come from a country with a bilateral agreement, you can also obtain the certificate of coverage from your country and also hire a private health insurance for the other contingents that are not labor. And then you do not need to register with the Spanish Social Security because you're covered with the Social Security of your country.
Got it.
One.
And you don't become autonomo in Spain necessarily, correct? Or do you?
If you have a bilateral agreement and you obtain the certificate of coverage and the private health insurance, you don't need to register. But if you don't obtain the certificate, you have also the option to, if you don't obtain the certificate of coverage and you don't want to hire a private health insurance, you have the option to register with the Spanish Social Security as a freelancer.
Super helpful. Okay, that makes it very clear. Thank you. That's why it's so amazing to be able to ask someone these questions.
No, because it's tricky. All this issue of the Social Security, it's tricky. So it's important to have it clear, because if you don't have it clear and you don't do it well, even if you have an approval of the application, then when you have to renew it, if you are not complying with your Social Security obligations, it's most probably you won't receive the renewal.
Yeah, I want to get to renewal actually. Before we do, are there any other major? Well, one thing I just want to comment to people before asking that question. When we talk about the insurance, for my friends coming from America, that will be your the thing that you will have the most trouble leaving if you ever go to Spain and then go back, is the cost and quality of healthcare. Private health insurance is like extremely inexpensive comparatively. And so you'll hear people talk about like, oh no, I'm covered by the government. So they don't have private health insurance, but there is the option to buy private health insurance just like you would in the US or many other countries. And it's just literally a fraction of the cost, like 5 or maybe 10% of what you are used to paying, and there is no drop off in quality or access. It's like fast, great. It's awesome. So that's something to keep in mind. Like even if you're quote unquote have to buy the private health insurance, you're going to be very happy with that situation.
Because in the US it's incredible, crazy. The cost. I know. My sister lives in the US, and the cost itself is one thing, like the month to month payment, but then like the co-payments and deductibles and the max, you hit your limits, and then you start paying out of pocket, like all these things that just go away. Like it's like you have a policy for $100 a month in Spain, and there are none of those things. Like there's no limitations, just everything is covered. And it's just like you keep thinking there must be a catch, like there must be something that I'm not reading correctly, like this doesn't seem fair, but it is fair, and it's the way it should be. So anyway, are there any other bullet points that we missed before we move on to renewal? Before renewal, well, did we for the initial application, you can apply it while being legal in Spain as a tourist or with other residence permit, or to apply for it from the consulate. But we recommend, since it's a very new residence permit, we would recommend to, if you have the chance, to travel to Spain as a tourist and then apply from it here, because the administration that really knows the procedure and the requirements is the one from Spain, which is the Unidad de Grandes Empresas, and the consulates. There are consulates that they are still super lost with the requirements, and we would not suggest going there, and because we cannot control, the what they assess, what they review, what the feedback that they give to the client, and also in the consulate. The visa is issued for 1 year, and even when the client is in Spain, they will need to apply for the residence authorization from here in any case. And another thing, only just one thing, that the validity of the residence permit will depend. In general, it will be for 3 years, when applying from Spain, but if the contract that we present is valid for less than 3 years, the validity of the residence permit will be as the validity of the contract. So this is something to take into account. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't so again, using the US, we don't usually have employment contracts that say I'm employed. We have what's called employment at will, which means they can fire you at any moment for any reason. In a lot of, it's a state by state thing. But anyway, it's not normal for me to have a contract that dictates a term that I would be hired for. Is that what they're looking for?
Yeah. Well, no, what we recommend is just to if we can present because it's a requirement to present an employment contract or professional agreement in case of freelancers. And what we recommend is that if there's the chance to submit a contract with an unlimited validity or length, it's the best thing, because then they will issue the residence permit for 3 years, And then the documents that you need to present is this professional agreement to make sure, or to accredit that the relationship has been enforced for at least 3 months. Then what we are requesting and what we have seen that it works with application is a good standing certificate of the employer or the client to create this year of a real activity of the client or employer it's one of the requirements that I mentioned. And then the invoices or pay slips to create the economic means. And then another requirement, this requirement was new after some months. They are requesting the bank statements of the applicant because they want to see that the amount of the pay slips or the invoices are really entering the bank account of the applicant, that you are not creating the document and that's all, of course.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And then criminal records, the general requirements. And also one of the main requirements is also to have a university title linked to the work that you plan to perform, or if not, to accredit 3 years of experience in this field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a marketing degree, if you're doing marketing work, for example, or you've been working in marketing for 3 years.
Exactly.
That all seems pretty straightforward. And the thing that you mentioned about applying from the consulate in your home country or from in Spain, two quick clarifications on that. One, can you at Lexidy help someone regardless of either situation? They can work with you virtually. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we have had applications outside Spain, of course. And if the client wants to apply at the consulate, we assist them, of course. But our first recommendation is always, if there's the chance to come to Spain, but if not, of course, we can assist at the consulate. And actually, the Spanish consulate in Washington was the first digital nomad visa issued. The Spanish consulate in Washington was for a Lexidy client, actually, some months ago. But this is why I'm telling you that, that the consulates are not so experienced in these procedures. Yeah, we know more than the consulate.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is what you specialize in. They're doing a bunch of different things. They're again make their life easy. Get the paper pushed across their desk. So that's very cool to hear.
That we can help. We can help actually because we know more than them. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I when I refer people to Lexidy. It's because I never met with my lawyer that I worked with there to help me. We never met in person. I didn't have to travel to Barcelona. I did it all virtually, and that's very rare in this world. A lot of the bureaucratic, legal immigration stuff often is a bit archaic, and so you end up having to do a lot of stuff in paper or in person, signing papers, and it was so nice to be able to do everything virtually. So that's good clarification. The second one is if I come to Spain on a tourist visa, 90-day tourist visa, and I plan to apply for this, I suppose there's a possibility that I won't get approved or that it will take longer than the 90 days. So It's a two-part question. One is, what is the like average turnaround time? Let's assume we prepare everything. You think it looks good. We submit it. What's the average turnaround time? And then two, what happens if I'm there in Spain, but we're past my 90 days?
Okay. So the thing is, in order to prepare the application, actually, it's not. It's one of the simplest procedures. There are some documents that maybe takes more time to get. Also, for these U.S. citizens or Canadian citizens, the documents that take longer are the legalization. Sorry. The apostilles that you need to obtain, because all public documents need to be apostilled to be able to be valid in Spain, and this good standing certificate should be apostilled by the apostle of the hat. Also, the criminal records in the US, they are taking some time as well, some months. So we also recommend to apply for them beforehand, and despite they have a validity of 6 months now, the administration extended that validity for this kind of residence permits. Also, the marriage certificate, if we are applying for with a marriage or birth certificate, all these documents that need to be legalized and then translated by a juror translator can take some time to be gathered. So I would say that maybe, if you plan to come, to start gathering these kind of documents before coming, and then when you come, at least you maybe in 1 month, 2 months, you can submit the application if you have started gathering the documents beforehand. And then once you submit the application here, your legal stay in Spain is extended until you receive a resolution. So even if you are here more than 90 days, if your application is in process, you don't have to leave. You just stay here until we receive a resolution. In case the application is denied and you have been here more than 90 days, yes, you should leave, or the option would be to go to the consulate and try to apply for the visa and then enter with the visa, or to wait to the proper 90 days that you should be outside Spain and re-enter Spain to present the application again. But Perfect. We hope that this does not happen.
I think you touched on something really. It's really helpful to make that recommendation, though, to start gathering all these documents before you go abroad, because you could do it from like a foreign country, but the apostille is really. That becomes a whole thing. So like any documents that you're going to need to get apostilled, like especially, and getting that criminal background check can be a bit problematic depending on where you're from as well. So not depending on your criminal record. I don't mean that, but like where you're actually from, the government issuing those can be challenging. So that would be my recommendation based on my experience, is like get all of that, like get in touch with Laura, for example, find out what you need, prepare your application, then come to Spain, apply from in Spain. That seems like your best bet.
Because even like we'll have some cases, for example, that they just prepare everything before and then they arrive and we submit the application the day after, and if the administration has 20 working days to resolve the application. If something happens with that application and it goes wrong, maybe we hope nothing happens, but the administration can do human errors, no? And we still have another chance because the applicant would still be within their 90 days period, So we would be able to reapply again, for example, and they would not need to leave. So it would be recommendable, And for example, Canadian citizens, they don't have the apostille because they are not part of the Convention of the Hague. And the legalization procedure there is longer. They have 2 steps and it's a little bit more complicated. So we would recommend to start with all the procedure before coming and then just come when everything is it's almost done.
Perfect. Okay. One last question on this, the initial application part. And I think I know the answer, but just to make it clear for everyone else, there's some things, some like extra things in there that people might need, like for example, private health insurance. Can you all help facilitate that? Or like you're in legal, but like you have a tax department. You can basically, someone brand new to this whole process can come to you and you can help them handle the whole situation.
Of course. What we try here in Lexidy is not just provide some service to the client and just make them search other resources to cover their needs, no? And what we try here is to cover all their needs and offer a 360-degree service. And we try to cover them using our collaborators. For the health insurance, for example, we have collaborators. We offer them different options, and they can contact them and select the option that they prefer. And also, we have different departments in Lexidy, not only the immigration one. So we have real estate department, tax department, corporate department. So they can just ask for the service they want. Of course, the tax department is for the foreigners that want to relocate to Spain is the most important one, and we work hand by hand with our tax colleagues, tax experts, and we can put them in contact. So of course, we just try. Our aim is to try to not make them to facilitate their life, no, and not make them just jump from one place to another trying to find solutions.
Yeah, that's extremely helpful when you're already juggling a lot, like moving abroad. There's so many moving pieces. It's really nice to have that one-stop shop. And I'm glad you mentioned the taxes. I'm always hesitant to go too deep on taxes because everyone's situation is so unique. Like literally, I mean, your role, your title, what country you're coming from, how you're going to be set up in one country versus another country. Like there's so many different stipulations that can change this. So it's not really useful when you're talking to a big audience. But generally speaking, when you're on the digital nomad visa in Spain, is the government, like, are you supposed to pay a percentage of your home country's income taxes in Spain?
Yeah. The thing is that regarding taxes, well, when you obtain the digital nomad visa in Spain, in order to maintain the residence permit, you need to reside at least 6 months in Spain per year, even if you are allowed to travel within Schengen area 90 days out of every 180 days. And then if you stay 183 days per natural year in Spain, you become a tax resident in Spain. And then once you become a tax resident in Spain, you need to pay your taxes in Spain. And of course, if there's an agreement, a bilateral agreement between countries, this will be applied, and you won't be double taxed. For example, between US and Spain, there is a bilateral agreement. I know that a lot of the audience will be asking themselves if the Beckham law would apply to these digital nomads that are relocating to Spain.
Can you explain what the Beckham law is? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's a new regime which is beneficial for the foreigners who relocate to Spain due to work. Okay, when the relocation is because of work and they comply with some requirements. Okay, and they benefit from a special tax regime that it's that affects the worldwide employment income obtained since the arrival date in Spain, and it's like the tax rate will be of 24%. of the tax rate of the global income, and this is the beneficial tax regime of the